Okay, welcome to the Boost Bespoke program. Today's webinar is on how to generate sales through economically challenging times. And we're going to hopefully just take under an hour of your time just to go through some of the things that you need to be thinking about going forwards if you are to be successful. My name is Peter Dickinson. I'm a business and digital coach, chartered professional, and also got an MBA. Currently marketing director of a marketing agency. My daughter joined me 4 or 5 years ago, and she does all the delivery. I do the sort of coaching, training, etc. We worked across 400 companies with a wide range of sectors for the last 19, 20 years, coming at 20th year this year. Been associate with Winning Pitch and Boost for the last 6 years. I was around when punch cards were around, so I've watched technology grow and change and adapt and become something trying to get people to do now, carry around in your pocket. And so been around a long time, so I've got 30,000 direct connects on LinkedIn. So stuff in the digital space. So what will you leave the webinar with? Well, we'll look at why you need to embrace digital marketing. You'll see the importance of sales funnel to driving sales. I'll just give you some structure to think about. It's not a piece of disjointed bits and pieces. We're going to look at some of the elements and some of the key things you need to be thinking about. We are going to look at video briefly. If you are serious about driving sales, inquiries, etc., that's something you will need to be thinking about. Look at Facebook and LinkedIn ads to drive traffic, and just go over a quick overview of what the future might hold for us all. So why are we doing this? Okay, I put this slide in because there'll be some of you out there who've not experienced a downturn, not experienced a recession. This will be my 4th. Each one's different and there'll be different characteristics at play. However, these are pretty much the things that we'll get hit with fairly consistently. Obviously, there's going to be significantly reduced demand as people's buying power gets reduced. You'll get hit with more bad debts. You'll probably see changes in buyer behavior. Cheaper brands tend to do better, especially with consumables. If you've invested in baked beans recently, then that's probably a good thing. People do consider alternatives. There's a lot of short-term thinking. You know, they'll pay something that's cheaper in recognition that it might not last as long. There will be less investment, be harder to get investment. Deals will be smaller and bittier. Sales lead times will take longer. People take longer to make decisions, and the reason for the workshop, more marketing and stronger selling skills will be needed. So hopefully today you'll get some tools which will help you through that, because at the end of the day, yes, we may be down 20, 25% in terms of your revenues and so forth. That still means there's 75% or 80% left out there. So you need to make sure you're getting your share. Still don't believe me? If you just type into chat, actually, I did this last time. How many people have read Who Moved My Cheese? Now, as I'm talking, just so you enter into chat. Who Moved My Cheese? Sorry, two mice who went to the same place regularly to get their cheese, and then the cheese pile stopped. So one mouse kept on going backwards and forwards and watching the pile of cheese diminish, and the other mouse went off and tried to find some find other sources, and he got thinner and he was scrapping around trying to find it. Never found the big mountain that they had before, but he kept on going. Sadly, the other mouse, spoiler alert by the way, guys, the other mouse dies. It's a really good story if you need anything to motivate yourself to why you've got to change through this crisis, because we're not going to go back to normal. So we've got a few people, 3 people who read it and 1 not. Okay, So a few famous quotes on change: measure intelligence given the ability to change. I think that the one I like best is that change is never painful, it's only resistance to it. I do kayak surfing, and the best way to ride a wave is to ride with it as opposed to trying to fight it. You can't fight, strong water, but if you jump on it and do it, you can ride with it. And this is basically what we're going to have to do through this crisis. Okay, why digital marketing itself? Well, a quarter of the planet are on Facebook. LinkedIn is now up to 675 million. I was one of the first million users. Twitter's struggling at 300 million. In Instagram, I think that figure needs updating. Half the workforce now are digitally native. It's their way of communication. And you can show my history of, I see all the telex go out, fax come in, go out. CompuServe, which was old style email, web, social media, instant messaging, video, and on the next one after that is artificial intelligence. We're really seeing some real growth in that area, and now working with companies to implement, to launch and implement those. So, what is digital marketing? Well, this was a small subset of everything that makes up digital marketing. I'm going to go into detail on this particular slide. Putting it up, give you a feel that are out there, and agencies like ourselves spend a lot of time gluing things together. It makes a channel. So, digital marketing, to be successful, needs to be systematic and sustainable. Hopefully you've heard that many times over. I'd like to type into chat sort of the three of the activities you do. You use website, LinkedIn, email, Instagram, LinkedIn for lead generation, whether you've got an e-commerce site, whether you pay somebody or you do your search engine optimization, email marketing. Okay, Dave, Twitter, LinkedIn, website, and the website's being rebuilt. Latif, hi Latif, from eBusiness, SEO, PPC, LinkedIn. Okay. Email, website, LinkedIn, website for events, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, website, LinkedIn, that's socially setting up Facebook, company page, currently email. All right, so, got somebody here with video as well. Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, so you can see already from that conversation, from the chat, there's lots of people doing different things in different ways, different combinations. Okay. One of the things you might hear when you're talking to a digital marketeer is inbound or outbound marketing. So probably easy to think of it as reactive, i.e. you've got a website and the phone rings when somebody lands on it and goes, yeah, I could do your services. And that's where search engine marketing comes in, getting you to the top of Google for whatever phrases people will look for your services. And so when they look for you, they find you. We'll be doing a deep bit of a dive into Google My Business, which is becoming very important. And not a lot of people are aware of this. Posting things onto LinkedIn. LinkedIn can be very good for getting inquiries for your services. Does take work and patience, and Instagram used to be very good. It's a lot harder now. And guest blogging, where you put your information on other people's sites and then you get inquiries from that. Proactive, and this is very much probably about today, is reaching out, using social media to generate leads, using email marketing and more marketing automation, where you might send out a series of leads once you've got somebody's email. And I tend to think of being proactive with paid, because you are actually trying to target people, especially on Facebook and LinkedIn, and strategic partnerships where you work with other people. Okay, so what can you effectively do? Unless you have time and money, you probably need a proactive marketing strategy. It's something you can do here and now. Um, and so during LinkedIn, you've got lead generation, we've got the where we do the boost webinars. We've got Facebook and Instagram advertising, so you reach out and pay money to get to people. Google pay per click, although saying that, I work with a factory and I've just had to switch theirs off because they can't actually manage the inquiries, but the inquiries were still being driven in, people are still searching. Email marketing. What's also kicking off at the moment, fairly recently, I need to update this slide, is for network marketing, online networking. So a lot of the networking organisations have realised they're not going to be able to put people in a room for quite some time. So you can see quite a lot of networking going on, and Boost has been running its own networking webinars as well. So look out for those. And then post-lockdown, well, I've no idea when we get face-to-face in a network meeting. Telemarketing might be tricky because they're still telling people to work from home, and the phone systems may not be extended to that. And brochures and direct mail don't work with work from home. And since they're now talking about, just announced today that the furlough scheme might be extended to October, all right, with reduced costs. That means you're not going to be able to post anything to anybody for quite some time. So we're going to do some basic marketing foundations. A lot of people miss this when they're doing marketing. It's really important. You've got to remember that there's a human element. You've got to, before somebody buys from you, and whether it's an e-commerce site or whether it's a £2,000 machine, go down the know, like, and the higher the cost, or the higher the risk of the purchase, the longer that sale. So actually, in reality, well, awareness is the client or the prospect thinking about what it is do I need, what is my actual real problem, and then they get to acquisition stage where they figure out what the problem is, and then looking for a solution and looking at the various solutions that they believe will fix that problem. Then the next stage is well, are you the right supplier? Are you able to, when they do the due diligence, provide all the help that you need, or the product or service that you need? And then obviously conversion is a quote or buy. So how does that fit in with digital marketing? So you've got social media, blogs, video, webinars. These are all at the top. I mean, if this is a webinar to sell something today, I wouldn't expect any sales off it. The best I could hope for is acquisition, which would be to have a conversation. And at the end, there will be contact details. So there's a hope that you'll contact Boost and you'll talk to John and Louise about how Boost can help. So that's the acquisition stage. And then we jump down to email, phone. So hopefully there'll be a phone calls, and then into conversion. When I did some work in Scotland just before COVID, before lockdown, and I got them to put web chat onto their website. When it came to the lockdown, they had to furlough majority of their staff. So web chat has been a great way for customers to stay in touch. I've noticed the traffic going through that has increased as people are using it as a means of communication. Okay, so one of the key things, I speak to some business owners, and they go, and I say, well, who's your customer? Who do you sell to? Oh, well, we sell to anybody. No, you don't. You need to be very specific, and you may have several sectors or types of customer you sell to, but you need to be able to picture them. We did as business advisors before technology and so forth. We used to get the customer to look at an empty chair and say, okay, where are these people from? Where do they work? Are they in the Northwest? What's the sector? So I do a lot with the education sector. So it's education. Well, what's their job title? Well, if we're going for after education, we go after deputy heads, people who have got the buying power and the time to talk to people who are looking to supply goods and services into a school. Demographics, are they what age are they? Are they millennials? Are they baby boomers? Baby boomers buy differently to the three different generations buy differently to each other. So that sort of thing. And then to the crux of the problem, what are their challenges? What's their pain point? What are the problems or desires that they're trying to solve? And each sort of customer profile will have a distinct characteristic as to how they buy and sell, and that's how you need to split up your customers, because some might be via LinkedIn, some might buy your e-commerce site, some might be from Facebook advertising and so forth. It does affect how you do your marketing. And so you really must know who your customer is, or customer sectors. Okay, so this is always an interesting one. So why do your customers buy from you? Is it quality? Type this into chat, by the way, or Q&A. Is it quality, customer service? Is it convenience? A lot of printer consumable companies used to do well just because they were local and kept people's stocks up to date. Is it difficult to buy elsewhere? You can't buy it elsewhere. Very unique. Your expertise. A lot of people in the past have sort of said, yeah, people come to me simply because I'm an expert in my area. And lastly, and it's at the bottom for a reason, price. In a recession or in a slowdown, two things happen. One is you either flight to quality or race to the bottom with the price. I know which works for most people. So we've got some folks coming through: expertise and experience, price, quality, and customer service. Yeah, that's great if you can pull all the three off. Sometimes you have to trade off. And customer price and quality have been typed in. Thank you first. Trust, expertise again, personal touch and quality. That's good. Those things to focus on when things get tough. So we've got somebody who's part of an equity release council, so not many firms are. So customer service because it's family run and expertise. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the selection of which tools you use and how you do it will depend on competition intensity. So if you are in telecoms, for example, if you build yourself a website and it's fairly recently, there's little chance you'll be able to rank in the search engines unless you're working really hard at it and prepared to invest a lot of money. If you're in somebody who thinks said they were part of an equity release council, not many firms, so they may be able to use a website to attract people via search engine optimization. So you've got to figure out whether your customers find you or do you find them. Maybe it's worth asking a few of your existing customers to find out. There's no point having a website and a great website strategy if nobody does that. We've actually launched businesses by using Facebook. So there are different ways to do things depending on where your customers find you. Somebody's put it, Chana, hope you said your name right, supply of healthy food. We had a food business, that's incredibly tough. Everybody wants quality, but at Aldi prices. So we're going to look at how to look at your competitors, see how you could get to use some of their tactics in what you do. So one of the things you need to think about, how good are your competitors at marketing, and in particular digital? If they're poor, we launched a website in heavy industrial rubbers section, and we had first mover advantage of only about 4 or 5 years ago. So it does depend on your industry. Do you need to do a targeted or broadcast approach? So we work with a consultant who does supply chain visibility to FTSE 350 and larger companies. Well, he needs a very targeted approach. There are not many people out there. But if I was selling, so for example, with your healthy food, you'd need to do a broadcast approach. You'd need to be doing, maybe Shopify, Amazon, e-commerce, and pay-per-click, Facebook ads, Instagram, all these sorts of things, where it's more of a broadcast situation. Just looking at some of the answers. Yeah, and the equity release, you sell to consumers. So again, you're going to need some sort of broadcast approach. But if you're selling heavy machinery and so forth, then you're going to need very targeted. So think about what approach is right for you. Okay, so you've seen the slide with all the tools on it, and you've seen the sales funnel slide. So what does actually that look like in reality? So we're going to talk about keyword research in a minute. That's going to produce your content, whether that's written words, images, short videos. That's all comes into there, and that's going to drive everything else. So this is, if you like, your production line. We're going to talk about how to look at the tools you use for search engine optimization to help you define what you should be writing about. It's best not to think about what you think people write about, what people search for you on. You need to actually go and get the answer from the machines to tell you what people are searching for. And more that is driving video marketing. So we're doing quite a bit of animated text type videos because you need to grab your people's attention. And so if you animate text, you can do that quite easily. So if those keywords are then used in the video, that will help the conversions. So we use video ads now in Facebook and Instagram advertising. So I don't know whether you do anything for the healthy food or that kind of thing. If you're doing advertising on Instagram, you need something that moves. If you're in business to business, you'll need the content to go into social media, which will then go onto your LinkedIn profile, then hopefully drive reading, watching videos or reading articles on your hopefully responsive website, i.e. one that works mobile. And on note, I said mobile first because that's where Google is putting all its efforts. And if your site doesn't work well on Google, on mobile, it won't work well on Google. You're going to see more email automation so that when you log on the site, you sign up for an ebook or training course or whatever, you grab your email, you then go into a series of 5 or 6 welcome email messages. And then hopefully the customer will think, yep, I'm going to buy, and then go into order quotations or all the fulfillment. And then we capture the data and we analyze it. And then that feeds back into each of these different, so that we then get the improvement, because it's constantly changing, folks, at the moment. I've never seen so much change in digital. So what are the elements? So we've talked about keywords, content, of course, the website, social media, LinkedIn, email, video, and advertising. These are pretty much the key things that you need to get right. So getting to the top of Google, we do a boost webinar on getting found on Google in a bit more depth. I need to update this slide. Last week, Neil Patel started to charge. The free, there is still a free element so that you can use it to sort of check your keywords. But the paid version is now $29. The alternatives are $99, so it's still incredibly cheap. And the free version still gives you a lot. So I'm still recommending that at the moment in time. The website does need to demonstrate. Quite a few of you sort of mentioned that you sell on expertise. Well, I would strongly recommend, if you've not done it already, to write a 2,000-word article and stick that on your blog, keyworded around, with keywords around your expertise. If there's not too much competition in your industry, that will get you found on Google. You might have to do a bit of research, but authority, you need links back from respective websites. This is getting harder, and I'm not sure. I'm doing more research just to see whether that's how useful that is these days. But if you post an article on somebody else's website, a related one that then points back to yours, that can be a good way of getting links. Or you can get articles in local papers because they have very good what called domain rankings, and that will help your website. We'll talk about SSL certificates, making sure it's secure. If you can, put social proof testimonials on your website. And don't forget, you can use UberCS not only to research your own site, you can research competitor sites as well. Yep, so it's in the slide. The alternatives, they do have a limited number of free searches. So we used to use SEMrush for free searches. We have paid for Moz, currently not paying for SEM, and we don't particularly use Hrefs, but they will also let you do some searches as well. So the first thing you do when you finish this, if you are going to do sort of digital marketing, do go to UberSuggest and type in your website and just get a feel for how well your site's doing. This is where I've typed in Cub. I wrote a paper 4 years ago called Challenges Faced by Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. That gets over 1,000 visitors a month to read that. I recently updated it and that increased the traffic. But all you do is type in your name, make sure it's England, and press search. Okay, so what content can you write? So case studies are brilliant. Love case studies. They show the customer that you've done the job, and somebody's been kind of to sort of say, yeah, they did a great job. The long form articles about your expertise is good. If you've got an e-commerce site, then make sure your descriptions are keyword as best you can. They're as descriptive as you can. So Google just sees them for the information. We work a lot with manufacturers or construction companies, and some of the problems they have is adding personality. Well, if you do charity events, that's a great way of helping the community, but also as a marketing. Sometimes in some manufacturing companies, you get a tenfold increase in interest in the business. It is brand awareness, though, folk. You will not sales with it, but or anything promote the health. Okay, this is a really important checklist. It's more important by the more as Google ups its game, and also the hackers are also about there as well. First thing is page speed. Use a site called gtmetrics.com to check yours. If you go to that, it's a free tool. Google also do a page insights, speed insights as well. If you type that into Google, that testing tool come up as well. Responsive is really important, that your website works on a mobile device. Google now assesses you based on your mobile setup, not on your desktop. Do you have a padlock on the top left-hand corner by your website name, the web address? It's called an SSL certificate. If you don't know what that means, please speak to your developer. Ease of use, can your visitors get to what they want? So it's great having a site that's really fast, slick, etc. But if it doesn't direct them where to get the information they need, then you need to look at what's called the UX, user experience. Calls to action, how do you get your visitors to take the next step? You tell them what you want them to do. People don't know, they're not mind readers, so guide them to where you want them to be. Lead generation, can you offer something that's of value, like an ebook, like a training course, coupons, things like that, depending on what your type of business is. What can you give them that will help them? Ebooks, by the way, are becoming less useful. We've got ebooks on our site. They don't seem to create much anymore. So we're rapidly developing free online courses, which will hopefully pick up the slack again. Make sure that your Google Analytics and Search Console are connected. Has the web developer giving you access? Is it in your login, not in the developers? Legal, do you have a compliant cookie policy and privacy bar? These are mandatory. Sort of going back a few years, but Companies Act 2004 means you must have your full company name, address, and registration number on it. And web chat. But if you have not got web chat, I strongly recommend, especially during this lockdown process where people maybe are not answering the phone as well and so forth, please put up web chat. We use Intercom or Active Campaign. If you've got a help desk system like Zendesk, then they come with chat systems. By the way, web chat is not like live chat. Live chat is where you need to be on it all the time. Web chat, typically, as long as you respond within a couple of hours, then everybody's happy with that. So it's you don't need to be present. And it's, for me, the better way of doing it. Most companies can't do live chat unless you've got a call center. This is a biggie for me. Security, as you develop, now you can add what are called plugins, a little piece of software into your website that makes it a lot more secure. And now we install it on every single website that we get involved in. We ask now the developer, we install it ourselves. Backups. Please make sure that we check with your developer that your site is backed up each night and you're not paying extra for it. It means that if anything happens during the day or it gets hacked or whatever, it means you're back in business within minutes as opposed to maybe hours or never if it's never backed up. Check that your developer is backing up your website and the plugins. This is really important because the hackers use robotic software, and if it knows that yours is an old version, it'll know what the insecurities are and it'll hack the site. Again, use Suggest to do a site audit, find out how many errors and so forth. Another big thing that I come across is companies don't actually control their domain, so or be able to log in or can log in with admin access to the website. So your website will probably look something like your domain and /admin. It might be wp-admin. If the site's more secure, this bit will have changed and you'll need to find out what it is. But please make sure you've got administrator access. The easy test is if you can see the plugins menu item. Also make sure you've got access to your own hosting. Make sure you've got logins. I mean, it might be 123, it might be Fastos, it might be SiteGround, but please make sure you have that and you control that. It's your website, not your developers. This is a more landing page. This is a sort of to do 12 months. It's going to be GDPR compliant and all that sort of thing. But now we're moving more to, so these are a couple of videos for different campaigns. And they're there to, if you like, semi-educate or explain. You might hear them as explainer videos. They're a bit stronger than explainer videos because they have a call to action, and they're designed in such a way as to get you to do some kind of action. And this is where these are going. And you'll see more of these as you land on a website. Somebody will be running an explainer video, and you go, oh, okay, and then it'll be some kind of button to download an app, do a training course, something along the lines of free quotation or whatever. Okay, we talked about, with more than 50% of searches on Google now done on mobile, Google's focus is very much on how well your site performs. To test yours, go to search.google.com, test mobile friendly, or just simply search Google mobile friendly test. So the site needs to be fast loading, easy to use on a mobile. We did have to, a client had a website done, quite an expensive website, but the front page had was heavy in text. So we then had to go in and modify the front page so that it still looked great, still told them what to do, but had a lot less text on it, so that it loaded correctly on a mobile device. So one of the things you need to check is how well does your site perform. Okay, social media. The top ones are Google My Business, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. The one to watch is TikTok. These are where people are doing interesting videos, should we say, to entertain folk, and TikTok's really taken off during lockdown. A bit like Snapchat, though, we've got to see where this goes. It's not something for the moment, but something that rises as fast as that, you do have to pay attention. Paid advertising, well, Facebook ads, Instagram. We use a thing called pixels. This is a little piece of code that will sit on the website, and if you then go onto Facebook, adverts will follow you around. It's less prevalent these days in terms of you noticing it, because a lot more people are doing it. But you'll probably notice when you've shown an interest in something, you then get followed around for a few days. It doesn't seem to be very long. I did have a thing called Tiger Sheds follow me around for about 6 months. But these days, the interest, it seems to dive off quite quickly. So, and then LinkedIn is very specialist. However, this is going to become more important. Okay, some social media tasks. Send out regular relevant posts. Do what you can do, but do it regularly, even if it's only once a month. If you're doing it more often, then there's tools like Buffer, Hootsuite. We use the one called Sendable. It shares posts across multiple platforms. Some people might bulk at that, but generally aim for the platforms that you'll have most benefit from. So it's unlikely that somebody would go onto LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, because you just wouldn't do that. So somebody who's running a healthy food business, well, theirs will all be over Facebook and Instagram, whereas a sort of somebody doing pipe freezing or under pressure drilling or whatever would just simply stick to possibly Twitter, but not much these days, but more like LinkedIn. Try to spend a couple of hours a week if you can, but whatever you do, but do it consistently. Worst case, once a month. Please use royalty-free images. I've got stories of how Getty Images will go after you. They came after us one time because a daughter who's young at the time put an image up that she found on Google. It turned out to be a Getty image, and she put it on our food website. So it took a lawyer to get rid of that one. So the main ones are Pexels, Unsplash, Pixabay, or use your own. And always try to look at the analytics when you can. So Google My Business, this is really important. The number of people who don't have control of their listing is quite high. So if you type Club Solid, which is where my daughter runs our business, you'll get this panel down the right-hand side. I'm currently logged in with a different username into Chrome. If I log into Chrome with the email that's associated with our Google for Business, the panel changes to this. So that's it. If you just type in your company name, town, but you're not logged in, address, Google Maps, you'll get this. Please make sure that some business, somebody, hopefully part of the and you as a business have got access to that. Okay, so email marketing, you can still buy B2B data. If there are any GDPR experts on the panel, then you know, they tend to get a bit upset about that, but generally you can still buy B2B data. You can't obviously buy B2C data anymore. You do need to make sure that you are complying with GDPR and the e-privacy regulations. Simple systems, I have come across one or two people still sending out long email, lots of emails to, you know, blind copying them or putting them in the two, you know, so you've got about 20 email addresses. Please do not do that. If you need to send out a lot of emails to the same email to a lot of people, please use one of these systems. You'll get your domain will be marked as spam if you do it too often. So use something like MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, any of these, so that it protects you and your domain. Okay, so do some outbound. This is where you reach out to other folk. Same as physical networking, do not start pitching as soon as you meet them. Open questions to qualify them. And the only action you close on is a phone call, a maximum. And that's to find out more, to be curious. Just to sort of drive home, 675 million users, 61 million senior influencers, and 40 million decision makers. A lot of people out there who've got spending power. And at the moment, this is the only way to get to them. It is a numbers game. When you get the slide deck, have a look at this. You need to do the numbers. It's about 1 to 2% return. So if you do 100 connections and have conversations, start conversations with them all, you might get 2 or 3 inquiries out of that. It's that sort of thing. And so we do use an automated tool called DuckSoup, DUXSOUP, to speed up the connection process, but the actual conversations have to be manual. So different types of video. Already mentioned video a few times. So we've done a landing page video. This is animated text, and then we put my daughter's picture in the phone, which was the recording, so that picture moved as well. This is a client talking about his physio, osteo, chiropractor business. He's now going online. You think, well, how does that work? Well, I see a physio probably once a quarter, and basically it's the exercises you do in the meantime. So he's actually, we've moved him online. This is a classic car. We're selling desiccant dehumidifiers for classic cars. So we've got client testimonial there. We've got done sort of promotional videos for a float that we were marketing for somebody. Sometimes some companies, you know, like to use a recruitment video, so it shows that it's a great place to work. And this was a sort of company promo. And we're developing other types of videos as we speak. We're going to see a lot more use applied differently, doing different approaches. So advertising, Google and pay-per-click, Bing. You know, it's worth looking at if you've got an e-commerce site. Cost per click tends to be lower, of course, lower volumes. If you're boosting is about social awareness. If you actually want to drive sales, I don't know whether the healthy food business has got an online shop, but they would need to be using Facebook ads and Instagram ads. We are now starting to think about using LinkedIn ads in order to launch an app. Well, we've launched the app this morning, whether we can use the LinkedIn ads in the feed, not a messages, because that's just, I don't understand LinkedIn ad promote sponsored messages. They don't make any sense because it seems to be alien to what LinkedIn's all about. But the where you put interesting stuff in a feed, like you would a Facebook boosting a post, they're doing the same. So we're going to have a go at that in the next month or so. Retargeting, that's where the ads follow you around. And then depending on your type of business, you might want to look at DAX from Global. These are radio style ads, but online radio, podcasts and streaming. Okay, find a way to measure the stats for everything. Create yourself a spreadsheet and monitor it. That's the only way you're going to find out whether improving or not. We use automated tools, look at a lot of people's stats. Some free tools, I'll say UberCS now is a part of it is paid. Dasheroo, which is what we use for clients to make things easy. Either you or somebody in the business needs to have access to your company's Google Analytics and Google Search Console accounts. Please get somebody to show you how to use them because they're extremely powerful and tell you a lot of information about what's happening to your site from Google and on your site when people land on it. So Neil Patel himself, brilliant guy. If you want to ever learn anything about sort of inbound or search engines or sort of marketing where it's reactive, then it's Neil Patel, his chum, Brian Dean at Backlinko. HubSpot have done some amazing videos on their academy. Google Garage is always good. And then the government have also realizing that a lot of people are going to have to upscale. There's a National Careers Service now, Finder course, the Skills Toolkit, and there's some courses on there. Google Garage is one of those on there. So the future. So you'll hear more of a phrase called omnichannel. I was talking to an investor this morning, and there were at least 2 companies looking at or who'd got technologies for combining phone, email, social media, chat, all those things into one channel. So if you're a call center or taking a lot of customer inquiries, then you need it all to come into one agent's view. So you've got a single view of the customer, and we're working with a big company on that. More in-depth content, articles to get anywhere will need to be 2,000, 2,500. Pay to play, so we saw Facebook, you can't get any reach organically, i.e. naturally, by sticking something on and expecting it to be seen by more than your close contacts. I think LinkedIn later on this year, we're going to have to pay in order to get traffic of any sort of size. We're going to see definitely more video. We are exploring the boundaries of what's possible at the budget end of the market. Voice searches, that's unfortunately takes quite a lot to explain it, but if you think of your smart box, you ask it a question, it only gives you one answer. So if you're not in the what's called a featured snippet, you will not appear on the smart box. You're going to see more automation. Again, this morning I was talking to the chatbot company. The webinars, I've written 5 in the last month. So, and I've delivered probably 7 or 8 now. So that's exploded with the lockdown. LinkedIn messengers, if you want to know the automation, then look at Duck Soup, and they're doing lots more technology around that. Automated email, so it's based on the behavior. We think there'll be a lot more online training. We've got about 4 courses now that we're working hard on to get them out there. And I'm not a huge fan of podcasts, but I think the younger generation are. And so some of you may need to be thinking about that. Future webinars, we've got the leadership networking tomorrow, and then on Thursday the 14th, third one this week, ideas and techniques to motivate your remote staff, which I'm sure will be useful. Okay, specialist team, Sue and Louise, and then there's John Dingle, who's just about to join us, is available for asking questions or supporting you.